Good evening, everyone. My name is Gunnar Soroos, and you are on Craft Beer Blab. If you are watching this live, please go ahead and tweet this out. If you're watching this on the replay, either on YouTube or on the Blab, I don't know what you call this, Blab platform, go ahead and give a like. Go ahead and, again, you can still tweet out, let everyone know that we're here. We're live every Tuesday night. Me and my buddy, Jonah DiPasquale. Who also runs his own awesome lab every Thursday night. It's Bike Chat. Be sure to check that out because that's an amazing time. Last week we had Amanda Betty. That was a lot of fun. And then this week, what was her name again?
It's Jenna Page Greaser.
Yes. Awesome cross-country woman out there just killing it. So awesome to have these people come on to the shows. Yeah. But tonight, it's Craft Beer Blab. We're talking about anything and everything craft beer. I got a little old blackguard barley wine style.
Nice.
This is actually, this was from our barley wine show that we had a couple of, 3 or 4 months ago. I had kept one in a cellar and thought I'd age it and crack it open tonight.
So you say you're cellaring your beer, huh? Is that good? Is it because I don't? Well, first of all, my beers don't last that long, so that I can cellar them. Or if I do have anything that's really that awesome, Barley Wine Show must have just before I found you guys. I don't remember that one. Yeah, no, that was early on when we did that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't. I mean, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I'm familiar with wine.
Right.
I know people cellar wine. Obviously they're trying to save like a certain year or a certain vintage, and I know in respects to the depth of knowledge I have of beers, there's definitely that level. Like for example, there's certain batches, et cetera. So I would see that makes sense. Like I remember when we did the barley wine one, I think you had a Sierra Nevada.
Yes.
That you were kind of hanging on to for a while. But I mean, I guess does that make a difference? Like as far as how long you like cellar it or
right. Well, see, there's a lot of volatile chemicals and compounds in beer. Mostly, nice house lager. So there's a lot of compounds in beer, most of which, not most of which, but some of which are, the hops, the flavors from the hops, the alpha acids, that type of stuff. And what cellaring does is, some people will say, oh, this beer is for cellaring, or this beer, you want to keep it for a long time, and it'll get better. There is no better or worse per se. It's just that over time, the beer will change. And usually the most noticeable thing is that the hop aroma and flavor will start to drop off. Then and that's usually within about 6 months to a year. But then what starts happening is that, the alcohols and all the sugars in there they kind of meld together and they kind of make different flavors and stuff. And so a beer that you have fresh and has certain flavors is going to taste completely different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Dan K tasted my first Oscar Blues beer last week at a beer tasting event. That's awesome. Love Oscar Blues. Which one did you have there, Dan? Dale's. Excellent. And oh, okay. No, not a big deal. But Dale's is a really solid pale ale. They make a bunch of great beers. Really, really good. And here's a bit of news. They just announced today that they are officially being distributed in all 50 states.
Yeah.
So they now have coast-to-coast domination of the United States.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on Burrito. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I seen that. It's a Mexican-style lager.
Yeah,
That
love it.
sounds
I
good.
was pumped. I gotta look for that. I heard it's made its way into the Garden State, but I've not found it here in Rochester, New York. I have to check my package stores. I haven't been there in a while. But
Hmm.
on an interesting note about that, it seems to me, and I don't know if this is maybe your region or will be your region, but
Hmm.
some of the distributions, it's very select.
Right.
What I mean by that is you'll find Dales in the bigger volume stores, I guess, but they only will have. I've only seen three of their actual offerings. Obviously, Dale's Pale Ale.
Hmm.
Old Chub is a definite, and sometimes Dale's Deviant. I don't know if you've have you ever seen
I
Dale's Deviant? It's in a tall boy actually,
right.
but
I know that I've seen Deviant. I've actually seen quite a few of their beers here.
sure.
I actually don't get them as often. I usually tend to pick up Dales or their Blue Can IPA.
Yep,
Um,
that's good stuff.
what's another one that I've picked up? I can't think of it right now. I am interested in
Uh,
trying their.
Gubna, you've had Gubna.
Yes, yeah, I have. Um, oh, and Old Chub, yeah, Old Chub. That's a great
Old
beer
Chub,
too. Old
Old Chub's
Chub,
yeah, that's a good. I mean, it's a good Scotch ale. And then
yeah,
I think if you, it's interesting. That's a great point. We should probably do a Scotch ale show.
yeah,
Yeah. But anyway, but in retrospect, that definitely is one of the. It's interesting. The Gubna is an imperial,
right.
and then the obviously Old Chub's a Scotch ale. So two totally different flavors going on, but they're both really good. I mean, I don't honestly, I don't think that there's any beer in that family that I don't really like. Pinner's really good. Have you had
Mhm.
Pinner?
Yeah, yeah. I've had a Pinner.
Pinner's really good. Yeah. And there's a couple others I can't think of off the top. But I mean, obviously, the white IPA is really tasty. That just came out.
Right.
It just came out, but it seems to be the distribution is good. So cellaring. So now, why you just kind of described sort of the difference, like sort of like
Right.
the then and now, and again, it kind of gets back to my earlier conversation about, again, Dale is good, these citrus IPAs. Yeah, I mean,
No, I hear you. Yeah.
it's preference, for sure, it's preference. So now, do you want? So as far as cellaring, talk to me. I mean, do you
Yeah.
do I just like grab like a shelf in my basement and be like, "What's up, man? Boom, 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 boom. Here's the beers. Do not open until December 25th," kind of thing, or
Right. Well,
What's
usually, and what I did to start off with was Trader Joe's has their, I think it's their own brand of like holiday beer. And I think
okay?
it even says on there, hey, try aging it for a year and tasting it. And it was inexpensive enough. It's like I want to say it's like $3 for like a
Yeah,
bomber
right,
size bottle.
right.
That I bought like three of them, and I drank one right away, and then I put two in my basement. And yeah, you just find a shelf in your basement that doesn't get a lot of light. In fact, if you could actually quarantine it off so that there is no light, that's even
No light.
better. And
Okay.
then it's like a constant temperature, preferably between 50 and 55. It could go up to 60, but you don't want to go
Mm-hmm.
higher than that.
Okay.
And then you just let it sit, and that's probably the hardest part. So if you have uh, some way to kind of keep from going into that corner, like it's in my basement, I have a workbench that I never use, and so I just put it on there, and I have it kind of blocked off from light, and I hardly ever
Gotcha.
go down there. So
Right.
it's like, okay, well, as long as it's out of sight, out of mind, then I'm good. And then every once in a while, it's like, okay, I got this. I'm gonna give that a try.
Sure.
So then what? And obviously, there's different ways. I mean, you could just buy a beer and stick it in there.
Right.
The other way to do it is like what I'll do is I'll buy a bunch, and when I say a bunch, like with these barley wines, there was a 4-pack.
Yep.
So I got one, I drink right away. I kept the other 3 in my cellar area, and then like tonight is the first of the new ones, and you taste it and you try to see if there's differences that you can tell. It's definitely a lot sweeter than what I remember,
Yep.
and it's also kind of mellowed out in the alcohol flavors. It's not as, I guess, hot, you
Sure.
could say.
Sure.
And so those are some of the changes that can happen. And then as far as like styles of beer to cellar, I mean, that, far from being like some sort of expert, because, I'll take any beer and I'll keep it and then I'll try it over time. But they say that hoppy beers, like say an IPA or even a imperial IPA, probably aren't best to cellar. Now,
Sure.
can you still do it? Yeah. And in fact, sometimes you find out if you like a beer after it's aged a while, just because it's, well, hey, I'm going to try this super hoppy IPA and keep it in my basement for a year,
Sure.
just to see what happens. But it is, barley wines are supposedly really good to age.
Yeah.
Stouts, imperial stouts,
Mm-hmm.
Russian stouts, all that kind of stuff. More your malty beers,
Okay.
and then a lot of your higher alcohol beers.
Nice.
It's more of an experiment than it is like with wine. They say, this is a certain vintage and you want this beer. I don't think it's as scientific as that.
Sure. Well, as I said, I can see, the Imperials and the Porters and things like that. I mean, that I definitely get. But as I said, some of the other limited edition, like for example, here we go. This is a good question for you. What about if we took a 6-pack, let's say of Bell's Hop Slam? What would happen?
It would, and this is my idea of what would happen, is that a lot of the hop flavors would kind of drop off quickly. Probably within 6 months, you would lose a lot of the real hop aroma, hop flavor that you normally want from Hop Slam.
Sure.
Now, what it'll leave behind, you probably get some of that honey flavor, and some of the maltiness will probably come through a lot more. So, and again, they claim that it's not a good beer to cellar because they're really brewing it for that hop flavor.
Sure.
But it would be kind of interesting to do it. And I want to say somebody's actually done it. And because it's a yearly release, they've done like a number of years and aged them. And then, and people do this with other beers too, is that you'll collect what's called a vertical. So like if it comes out every year, you'll save, every year from wherever you started. And then after like 5 years, you have a party and you say, hey, we're going to start with, the 2010 edition of whatever, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. Right. And we're going to taste them all and see what the differences are between them. And I want to say someone did that with Hop Slam, but I can't find it right now, so I'm not sure.
Sure. Hey, so I got one for you. I'm on Jonathan Edwards. He's one of our previous guests. Yeah. He's a rep from
right.
the Oscar Blues.
Oscar Blues.
And it's I think it's at Hoptimistic. You can give him a follow. It's Hoptimistic 19. Anyway, in his Twitter feed, I go a while back, and you'll get a kick out of this. He said, cleaning out the fridge, 2011. He's like drinking a Pugsley Signature Series Smashed Pumpkin by Shipyard Brewing. And then, and here's another interesting thing. Drinking 2010 held up really well. Drinking a Harpoon 100 barrel series number 30 Island Creek Oyster Stout.
Oh,
Island Creek Oyster Stout. Interesting.
very interesting. Yeah. I've never had an oyster stout. I'm a little afraid to try,
Seriously.
you know, the idea of shellfish in my beer.
Well, it's so anyway. I guess it's something that I probably would consider, and I think that probably if I was going to consider, I would take the like the imperial stouts. I think the Russian imperial stouts would probably be something. I if I could hold out long enough, Dogfish, the 120 would be interesting. I noticed
Mhm.
I've seen people do that with 120s where they've cellared 120s for a while, and they bring them out, and they'll write the date on them and stuff like that, which is interesting. That I can see making a huge difference, because I mean that's like you said, that's something that at that level probably would be, I think, significantly better, even though it's an incredibly tasty beer as it is. Like you said, that's the hard part, is if you got something like that, just just kind of like lingering in your basement, on a hot summer day, you're gonna go, I know where there's some 120.
Exactly. No, yeah. That is definitely a hard part of cellaring or aging beer is not going into your stash and tasting it beforehand. But even if that happens, it's not lost, because you're enjoying it. So I mean, it's like, okay, you know what? It didn't last a year, but here 3 months later, we'll see what it is. I did find the article of somebody that did 6 years of Hop Slam. And they kind of kept notes and went through it, and it is kind of funny. So I threw that link up there.
Yeah.
And so they have different ones that they say, oh, well, this one is the best, and then this one's not so good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that everybody's basement or cellar or conditions that they're keeping it in is going to be different. So say we get the exact same beer, and you cellar it in your basement and I cellar it in mine, and we have a party, we come together, the beers could taste completely different 3 years down the line, because they've aged differently, in a different environment. So it's just one of those interesting things. And then especially like some certain limited release beers, it's an interesting way to revisit them.
Sure.
And some of the more expensive ones, like Surly Darkness, people say they get so much better with age, and then not that I'm reselling it, but the value kind of goes up, because some of our package stores here, if you can find like a 2012 Surly Darkness, you're probably going to pay like $40-$45 for it, whereas a new bottle is like $20-$25. So
sure. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other thing too is we talked about this one of the earlier shows, are the bourbon barrel aged, or the cask with a K.
Right.
It would be probably something else, because I think those are, I mean in my opinion, I mean those are definitely beers you don't see that often.
Right.
So I would say that would be something I would be more inclined to try to do that with.
Right.
And it's funny because it's not, those are beers that just, they're not out there that frequent that you're going to want to go out of your way to want to have to break down doors to drink anyway. So I mean, I guess to your point is like is a matter of the fact, you're shopping, right? Like, oh, look at this, it's available. and then just sort of like you don't really give it time to kind of like sit on your shelf or in your refrigerator to consider drinking it. So you put it away and then, out of sight, out of mind. But
Right. Well, and I think you're right that a lot of the bourbon barrel aged beers, personally, I'd probably rather age that than drink it right away, because most of the ones that I've had are so strong in the barrel flavor, the bourbon barrel flavor, that it comes across like, well, I'd rather just drink some bourbon. Tommy K is in the house. Nice to see you here. But with age, that you'll get more of the flavoring and less of the alcoholness of it coming through. So I can see that style of beer really aging well.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Then other things like, you see with age comes Tommy Crowder. No. A lot of the other, like I don't want to say, well, I guess you could say flavored beers, the coffee stouts or the vanilla stouts or the, maybe not the fruit flavored beers, but
I don't know about that.
the ones that are flavored with something would probably age really well too, because those flavors will kind of meld and they'll mellow out and become better over time.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the fruit beer thing, I'm kind of over it. I don't know. I may never. I may never try. I may never try mango even keel. You never know.
No, and I've probably said this a ton of times before. If it's done right, then I don't necessarily mind. But there's just so many fruit flavored beers coming out right now that it gets so ridiculous. I mean, it's like IPAs were a couple of years ago, or even, I guess a couple of years ago, where it's like everybody had to have an IPA, and everybody was trying to make it. There's the hoppiest IPA, and it was like, I'm a fan of IPAs, but one or two from a brand is probably all they need.
Right. Yeah, no, I think, or I think to your point about the over hopping, I think I don't think it's necessarily gone away. I definitely think it's mellowed out. Like people realize that, it's like Frank's, or not Frank's. It's like Dave's Insanity hot sauce. Like it's just, you're an idiot because you can eat food with, Dave's Insanity on it. And I don't care how well conditioned your palate is to being able to eat that or consume it. It's what's the point? I feel like for me, when I drink beers of that caliber, I almost feel like like you say, it's just way too much. I don't enjoy the beer, and I'm like, all right, enough. I can't. I definitely can't drink enough. Oh, Theme Park beer drinker in the house.
Nice, awesome.
So we talked about cellaring beers, which is an interesting concept. I may start small and go from there. But the pointers about where to keep the beer, keeping out of light is interesting, is good. Any other special conversations about what you need to do? You need to like go down, like like wine. They say you got to go down, like turn the bottles or something stupid like that.
No, always keep your beer upright, because the caps are not meant to. They'll rust over time, so you want to keep them dry.
Yep.
Plus, then too, all the yeast will drop to the bottom. So that's a big thing. You don't put it on its side, and you don't have to turn it or anything like that. Just keep it upright, and you'll be fine. And the other thing, like I said, the best way to do it is to buy a couple of certain ones when you get a chance, and then crack one open in 6 months or a year, and then crack another one open after 2 years, and just see what they taste like. And after a while, you'll kind of get to know. I still have a bunch of the Trader Joe's beers that I've kept over the years, almost every year. I think this last year I didn't get any, but put your wine on its side, not your beer. Yeah, exactly. um, the one thing that I can say too is that spiced beers, like the Trader Joe's ones, they use coriander in it, which, if you watched this show in the past, I'm not a huge fan of coriander flavored beers. I mean, I'll drink them, but if they're too strong, I don't necessarily enjoy them. But over time, with aging, it does, again, it's another flavor that kind of mellows out and it doesn't get so intense. So it kind of makes for an interesting flavor then afterwards.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of coriander. I don't use it that much in cooking, and I definitely don't think I want a lot of it in my beer. So, yeah. So, we've talked about cellaring beers. What about glassware? I know a lot of people get pretty heavy duty. I'm like Mr. Plain Jane here. I got the mason jar, which is probably optimal beer consuming tankard per se. But I don't know. It works. I've had really nice glassware, but the problem is with kids, it never ends up lasting. It's a really nice, like, draft Pilsner flutes gone, broken. Not by intention, but it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, is there, like, kind of give us that looks like what you're drinking out of now. But it's not. It looks like a modified glass, in my opinion, but that's probably not what it is. What's the description?
Right. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. I want to call it Globe, although I don't think it's technically not a tulip because the lips don't kind of come out.
Sure.
But it's kind of that same thought process that the top kind of goes together, so it kind of intensifies the aroma as you're drinking it.
No. Do you gotta give it the swill there, and you give it the old schnoz blaster.
You give it a little swirl, and then you take a big swiff, and that's good.
Sure to get the bouquet. Nice.
But that's part of the reason for using these types of glasses. A lot of times I'll drink, and I think Tommy Crowder's called me out on it once or twice, is I'll use what are they, stemless wine glasses.
I don't know that.
And they're great. Again, it's the same shape. In my opinion, the shape or style of glass is for show, but there's something to be said regarding the diameter of the glass opening. How narrow or wide will affect how the beer enters your mouth. Yes.
I agree with that. My only caveat to that, and that's a good point, is certain beers, and we've definitely talked about this in earlier shows. Certain beers taste better at certain temperatures. And the one thing I want to relate that to is Scotch. For example, I love Scotch, and a lot of the glassware that I have for Scotch is a very high end, like, crystal, and the whole idea is the glass itself is very thin, so therefore it transmits the heat from your hand. So obviously, if you're sitting here, we're talking, we're socializing. I'm not going to take a really good Scotch to the face, like, in a couple gulps and sips.
Right.
But the whole idea is, as the, again, obviously, as the Scotch, warms to room, let's say room temperature, it becomes, the body, the bouquet becomes more distinct, more flavorful. I would say that's very true with some beers, like we talked about, and again, we definitely talked about this earlier on some of the shows, is you don't want to drink beer that's too cold. Like certain, like, okay, we talked about Guinness. Guinness, for example. Like, Guinness is disgusting. I know we've been, well, I don't know where we've been, but bars or places that just don't get it. And you get like ice cold Guinness.
Ice cold Guinness, yeah.
It's disgusting. I mean, you can't enjoy it.
You can't enjoy it. You can't taste it well.
Improper pours, same conversation. But I think the glassware, falls into that same parameter. But again, Dan, back to your point. I don't know. Like Spiegel has theirs. It's got like the really weird base to it, and it kind of
Right.
opens up and kind of comes to a point. There's the Pilsner flute that
Right.
is supposedly you're not supposed to wash it because it's like a seasoned frying pan. One of my uncles had a Pilsner glass. It was disgusting. And like he
Yeah.
never washed it. I'm like, dude, that's the same glass you've been drinking out of like for the past 3 weeks. Like, I mean, I'm on a cactus watching you just try
Right.
to drink out of it, but who knows?
No. Yeah. Well, I don't think that's right. I mean, I think there's a lot of legends and there's a lot of
Sure,
probably a lot of misinformation to
absolutely.
the whole thing with not washing and that kind of stuff. I think that kind of goes against the grain of everything that I would think, because any residual uh, stuff. I mean, I guess maybe if you wanted to be so traditional as to drink it as the Germans did in the 1800s, then yeah, maybe don't wash your glass. But
That's the point.
if you want to really get the flavor of something, then I see the benefit of a lot of the beer glasses, although, and some of it makes sense. I mean, some of the lager glasses and the pilsner glasses that are
Yep.
flutes, and
Yep.
and they're shaped that way so that you can drink it in a certain way, and so
Right.
you get more of certain flavors.
Hmm.
But to me, I think something, probably 90% of the time I drink out of something like this. And I
Sure.
think it's the same reason. If I want to warm it up a little, I can cup
Okay.
it in my hand. If I don't want to warm it up, I can grab it by the stem.
Right.
Again, it accentuates the aroma. You can get a nice little twirl and see, okay, oh, it's got a lot of lacing and there's alcohol in it, and you can see it
Right.
all. Then again, a basic pint glass is probably gonna 90% of the time be just as good too. If I'm at home, I'm drinking right from the bottle, almost with no regard to what it is. Yeah, right. Well, yeah, that's a good point, because you're paying well, sometimes a lot more for just that experience of being
Yeah.
out.
Right.
Yeah, so you want a proper glass. And you know what? Some bars are really good about this, and they'll have like specific glasses like this for this style, or a different glass for a different style. And so they kind of make it an important part of it, versus a place that just serves everything you know in the bottle, or in a bottle in a pint glass.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, I agree with that absolutely on both ends of things. But I do. Okay, for example, two good examples. Stella Artois. Stella.
Yes.
They've got the
Yes.
gold lace glass, and it's a
The
big.
chalice.
That's probably
Yeah.
that's one of the beers that I know at your better you know places, bars, what have
Right.
you, that they will serve that glass with that beer, which I agree with.
Right.
Another.
Well, and they actually have like certain steps that the bartender has to go through to be able to
Okay.
serve that beer
Yeah. No.
in that
Exactly. Yeah.
glass. And you know what? I think that's great, because it I don't care for Stella beer itself, but I love the idea that they're taking that time to educate not just a consumer,
Right.
but the person that is serving it. Okay, this is how we want you to serve it. And whether it's just for show or whether it's because it actually accentuates the flavor,
I think
I
it's
think it's great.
consistency. I will agree with that.
Right.
Another good one is Hogarden. Like, I don't know if you've ever had Hogarden. Hogarden just comes in a massive.
Mm-mm.
It's just it reminds me of this just massive pint glass. It's just ridiculous, but it's just very very well presented. Has the wedge of lemon, and oh my god, I mean that is just my mouth waters for a really good wheat beer like that, and man, it is that's it's without question probably
Nice.
one of my favorites. It's got a great flavor to it, just an awesome summer beer for sure. And they do, and it's interesting.
Right.
They sell that in a 4 pack. which I think is interesting, which makes sense. So hey, Nicole Whitty's in the house. Oh, look out! What?
Nice, awesome.
But
Nice to
I
see
mean,
you in
as
here.
far as I think glassware across the board, watch out now, right? I think across the board, glassware, it is certainly something that you could take, to any different level of extremes. But back to what you were saying earlier, about the standard pint glass, it's interesting. Like I feel like if you have any interest in enjoying the beer experience, glassware, period, is the way to go. I feel like
Right,
for me now, I very rarely drink out of the actual container itself. I won't I don't find myself drinking out of the can. I don't find myself drinking out of a bottle. I just make it a point for that experience to pour. Again, whether it is into a pint glass, into a glass, or whatever. I feel like, again, to your point, and it is part of the experience of enjoying beer. It is like coffee. I don't just slam it in the cup and drink it. Like sometimes I'll put, raw cane sugar in there. Sometimes I'll make a froth, whatever. But I mean, for me,
right,
I do enjoy coffee. I look forward to drinking coffee in the morning. Just like kicking back on the weekends, and having a beer. I don't just reach in the fridge and, grab a natty ice or a PBR. I spend good money
right,
on, good quality beer and, craft beer, indie beer, whatever you want to call it. But I do like to enjoy it. I feel like that glassware is that extra step. And, at this point, we talked about another interesting concept is, I know back in the day, I used to keep my glassware in the freezer, right? And this is back to those old school
right,
mantras, like, an ice cold frosty root beer. I think that kind of came, you know, I think that whole mentality trickled over
right.
to the beer. You need an ice cold, you need an ice cold,
Hmm.
glass to enjoy your beer. And I feel like that gets back to the same conversation. You have a cold beer, right? And you're pouring a cold beer into an ice cold glass, and it's just, my goodness, it's just right. No, yeah, no, I don't do frosty mugs at all. But I think that
No,
at
yeah,
one point, that was my earlier premonition of how to enjoy beer. Friends would come
right,
over. Hey, here, let me reach in the freezer and grab. I had more pint glasses in my freezer than I did food. Etc.
right.
So I mean, you obviously knew where my
No,
priorities were, but I think that as I realized that when you watched people's first sip of that beer, they're just, I mean, they were like, it's like a 2020 line to your neck. You're like, whoa! I mean, it was just so cold, that I think
right,
I think it went beyond being refreshing. It was just like, too cold. It's just me.
right. When you lose a lot of the flavors, I mean, you just like, serving Guinness too cold. I mean, almost probably 90% of the beers out there, most people probably drink, and myself included, drink
Yeah, I
too
agree with
cold.
that. I totally.
And so here you go. Let's just add more coldness to it. The I guess from what I've read or what I've heard is that, when it's too cold, you're deadening your taste buds, and so you're not getting the true taste of whatever it is that you're drinking. You know, Especially like, let's say, an IPA that has a lot of hop floral notes to it,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, okay, well, let's make it ice cold. You're not getting a lot of those flavors, so there's almost no point to it. Plus, yeah, nothing worse than getting your tongue stuck on your glass.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's why Coors Light wants those mountains blue, hides
Yeah.
the true flavor. It's exactly it. And same with Budweiser, they show the commercial, and the can is so cold, and it's just
Yeah.
dripping that water, and it looks so refreshing. But yeah, you're just hiding all that flavor, and you're not getting any true thing. Many people eat, drink outdoor dining glasses, sweat. Many people like koozies. Yeah, no, I have nothing against koozies.
Well,
I love putting
that I agree with. That I totally agree with. That's a little slightly deviant conversation, but yeah, I mean, it's along the same ideals. But yeah, I think that's the koozies one thing. I think, like, hey, Gadget Crap, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Craft Beer Blab. What's going on tonight? Thanks for joining us. So I mean, as far as the koozies, I have koozies. I love koozies. I think they're great. You know, the ones I get the biggest kick out of are the ones that
Mm-hmm.
fit over the beer bottles. I always thought those were kind of cool. But
Right.
there
In
you
fact,
go.
I
Nice.
got a
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Ed
Good
Wheels.
stuff. There
Actually, I
you
should
go.
put my bottle in there.
Nice. Perfect.
There you
Perfect.
go. See?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny, Nicole. I mean, I actually have it in almost every one of my backpacks. I have at least a couple of those floating around in the bottom. And sad to say, I actually used to keep a couple of my snowboard coat. Anyway, I do have some on my camelback when I ride my bike. So,
Right. Fruiting the beer was used to hide imperfections. Yeah. Now it's done for different flavor. Yeah, just for show. Yeah. No, I completely agree, Dan. That some of the tricks are kind of they catch on again. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say that koozies and cans. There's a lot. And being a mountain biker and cyclist, you go to a race, and a lot of times you can't. I
right.
mean, I'm not going to carry a glass in my cooler with a 6-pack of whatever beer it is. And sit there and after the ride be like, oh yeah, I'm pouring my beer, and yeah, here I'm such a snob. You're gonna probably just crack open the can and slip it in a coolie if you want to keep it cold. So come on, Gunnar, why not? Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll try that next time I go to an event. I'll pull out my chalice and be like, okay, who wants a beer? And see what
Or the
happens.
other extreme is I don't know. I'd have to dig it out. But man, I have this Stein, and man, dude. I think that, in all honesty, probably I've probably drank it like full from the top just a few times, and it's just way too much beer in one
Right,
sitting. I mean, it's behemoth, and I feel
right,
like
right.
whatever the style of beer you're drinking out of, it's just way too much in one physical sitting. But that's interestingly enough, because even the actual glassware itself, you're just like, I mean, first of all, the thing weighs like 20 pounds, so you're getting, you're getting this like total body workout just holding your beer. And
Just
then, of course,
holding
if you
your beer.
drop it, then you're that guy, because here you are dropping like 2 gallons of beer on the ground.
Right.
But yeah, no. So that's interesting. But the koozies, I think, have clearly, made, enjoying your beer fashionable, and I think they make tons of sense. And back to Nicole's point about the
Right.
beer sweating. I mean, there's something to be said about that. Obviously, it's nice to not have to hold on to a sweaty, no pun intended, like a weeping sweaty can. I mean, the koozies are nice, and they'll keep
Right.
they'll keep your beer comfortably cool. It's not like it's gonna stay ice cold for hours on a hot summer day, but you know,
Right. Well, yeah, reasonably cold. And you know what? Here's another thing: is that at a lot of events, you'll see people with can coolies, because city ordinance maybe for certain parks is like, well, you can't have alcoholic beverages, and so what do? Well, you just hide it in a
right.
coolie, and it's not like the police don't know what's going on, but it's like, well, you just make it so that it's not obvious that you're drinking beer.
Well,
So
I think you chimed in a good point there. That probably might be something the theme park beer drinker might want to chime in, as far as being able to sneak into theme parks with beers, things like that. Did you see? I used to remember a while back they had these thing called I think they were called skins or can skins that looked like you were drinking a Coke or you were drinking a Pepsi, but it was your
right.
beer. Oh my god, I used to crack me up. They still sell them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicole's like a stock in the company.
Yeah. No, yeah,
I I
that's
flask,
funny.
nice, nice. There's I can't see it now after a long bike ride once race. Everyone else is replenishing with gear, power rating here, Gunnar busting out Oscar boozing guys. Well, that's part.
Right, yeah.
Dan, I think that's definitely part of the culture. I feel like I don't care how serious of a rider that you are. I mean, well, within reason. even some of the pro elite level riders, I've seen it at bigger events, crack beers and kick back in the pits and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's not so serious that people can't enjoy themselves. But I think other than the elite pro level, I mean, any of the festivals you go to, the local races, I mean, I've gone to races with no beer, and had more beer than I've known what to do with, Yes,
Right.
is it? Oh, jeez. Well, I
No, I think there was a gravel event that I did last year. I've done a couple of years in this clothing company, Belch Gear. They come out and every year they have a tent and they bring a bunch of kegs and they serve everyone free beer. It's like, here, have your free beer. You show up at their thing, and they actually have some good beer. I mean, they have some cheap beer for people that want cheap beer, and they actually have some decent beers for people that want something a little better. And it's really awesome
there was
of them to do.
a buddy of mine in the ski industry, and Dan K, this is probably a good one for you. And theme park beer drinker, a theme park beer is there you go.
Tailgate at the Disneyland.
A buddy of
Nice.
mine had these ski poles, right? And they were, and Nicole, you might get a kick out of this too. They were made by Scott, Scott, and the poles themselves were hollow, right? And the handles came off, and they actually held liquids. Yeah, dude, they were called Scott Hot Tubes, and this old timer that was telling me this story is he used to take schnapps and put the schnapps in each one of the ski. So he's like he he'd pull
and just be hammered,
pull
probably.
the handle off the ski pole, burp, and then back to doing the old cocker swing. I don't know if I could certainly do that, but anyway, yeah. I mean, there's always a way. Did you who was it?
Right.
There was somebody posted it on my Facebook page. Exactly. Somebody posted on my Facebook page is for when there was like a gimmick. It says when the drinks at your local bar are too expensive. It like literally looked like a fanny pack or like a bladder that you wore under your pants, and like you like literally unzipped your pants, and there was like a valve, and like the booze or like whatever, dude. So you could like order like a Coke, right, and like go, like look like you're going to the bathroom, but like spiking your drink. You know what? I'm gonna try to find
right.
it. It's so stupid.
And then spike your drink. Yeah. Well, see, I don't know if I want my alcohol in that region near my body.
Oh my God, here it is. I totally got. It's called the Freedom Flask.
Games here.
Dude, this is awesome. Oh my God, this is awesome. There we go. I totally got it. Freedom Flask. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Maybe we need to get these guys on Craft Beer Blab. How freaking fun, dude! Here it is. I'm gonna throw the link up right now. Here we go. Here it is.
Right.
This is freaking awesome. The image should come up. All right, I'll put the link in here. Oh my God, it's freaking hilarious. There it is, right there. Here we go. There it is. Freedom Flask. I came off of DudeIWantThat.com. Look at that baby, huh? Nice, dude. Is that classic or what? Although I think I'd be a little bit uneasy with trying to consume some type of alcohol out of anything like that, because you never know. Nicole, I don't want that.
Yeah, see?
I can't imagine many people wanting.
No, yeah, I don't want that.
Nice. Theme park. You probably have. Don't hold on it. You know you probably have it. Come on.
Right. Well, that'd probably be a good way to make some extra money. Get a bunch of those, and then sell them for $20 at the bowl games. Hide your booze in your pants.
Different ways. How about this one? The Sonic Beer Head Enhancer from Drunk Mall. Maybe do we need these here? I think we might need this. This might be something we could. So let's see here. Is there
No problem or dedication. Yeah.
Dedication. Let's see here. How about this? Is there any relevance in there's anything like this? It's supposed to enhance the flavor. It puts a new head. It puts a new head to your beer. So when you think your beer is getting flat, right? You can sonically charge it. So that could be something.
Oh.
You know. Oh.
Huh.
No.
Well, what is it? It's just agitating it so that it creates more bubbles. Wouldn't that actually make it more flat then?
Seriously, what that's.
Hmm.
Although here we go.
Well, I guess it would be just like shaking it and
Right.
agitating it just to get a little more foam. Interesting. Interesting idea. I'll shake your beer. Yeah, it is a lot cheaper.
The Alice in Wonderland
just give it a good shake.
Bottle book. You want to smuggle your scotch or your booze? There you go. It's just a book. It's an Alice in Wonderland book. Right.
Again, you could just make your own. I mean, cut out the pages. Here you go. And again, yeah, it goes back to, okay, well, is that dedication or is that a problem?
Oh my God, there's the two-fisted drinker. It's like, it basically is like one beer. It really is two beer mugs. I don't know. Let's see here. Maybe we need to just like go spending a lot of money on drunk mall, which would be bad. I'm gonna have to look up iFlats.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. The two-fisted drinker. That might be something. I don't know. I think Theme Park probably has. He probably has this one as well.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Yep. Yes. Definitely.
2 beers, 1 cup.
All right.
Nice.
So where are we at here? This is the top of the hour. Oh, nice. Here we go. Flask mittens. Seriously.
No need to hide.
No need to hide. Exactly. All right. Hey, listen. It is 10 o'clock. I need to turn into a pumpkin. Got a busy day tomorrow. Joke. Walking into church, pastor shakes his head at me in disgust as we're walking in and says to me, "Drunk again." I nodded and said, "Yeah, me too." Nice. Yeah.
Me too.
Hey, listen, Craft Beer Blab audience. As I said, my name is Jonah DiPasquale, co-host of Craft Beer Blab here every Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget this week on Bike Chat, we will be speaking with Jenna Page Greaser. Jenna is she just recently turned pro in both the mountain bike and cyclocross categories. So that will be very exciting. We've been talking and chit-chatting quite a bit on social media. So she will be coming to the show. So I encourage you to tune in this week at 9 p.m. Always been a fun show. And don't forget all the replays on both shows, both Craft Beer Blab and Bike Chat are available. Also, yeah, I know it's good to see everybody. We could just go on and on. But Gunnar, great show tonight. Nice freestyle topics to keep things rolling. Looking forward to next week. Hey, but speaking of next week, what are you thinking? What's I'd like. Yeah.
Well, I'm working on a guest, but he hasn't committed yet, so I'm gonna not pressure him too much. But hopefully we get someone. If not, we'll think of something, and maybe we'll have since it's Cinco de Mayo on Thursday, we'll kind of have a later day Cinco de Mayo who knows? We could redo that
Yeah.
Mexican beer.
I'm
or
I'm down with that.
other
That
drinks.
makes sense to me. But if anybody else, no crud. No.
No crud light lime. No, yeah,
All right, guys.
exactly.
Folks,
No,
ladies
yeah.
and gentlemen, good to see everybody. Until next week, thanks for tuning in. My name is Jonah D. Give me a follow. Also, hey, by the way, I'm on Snapchat. I've been posting some really fun stuff. I had some bike tips and things like that. Give me a follow on Snapchat. It's actually my Snap code that's actually right up here in the corner. Be great to have you join. If you're on Snapchat, I'll follow you back. I know better. I'm trying to get you to get back into Snapchat so I can harass you online there as well. But other than, oh my God,
Right. Yeah, not like we don't harass each other on
we
Strava, Twitter, Instagram.
But all right, folks, I am out for the night. Jonah D signing out. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great